One of the most serious signs of this new phase of the war in the Middle East has just become more pronounced. Israel has authorized the military to mobilize up to 400,000 reservists amid the confrontation with Iran and Hezbollah. This figure stands out, but there is a decisive detail. The army itself stated that the number is an emergency ceiling created to provide flexibility as needed on the battlefield. At the center of this decision are the government of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli military leadership, and the reservist force, a key part of Israel's war machine. When this measure was approved, the war was already advancing in several directions at the same time. The attacks by the United States and Israel against Iran began on February 28, and Hezbollah started attacking Israel on March 2 in support of Tehran. Since then, the pressure has not only been from the air, but has also come to involve border fighting and territorial disputes. That's where the question dominating the news arises. Does this mobilization point to an invasion of Iran? Up to this point, the actual movement of troops on the ground is more connected to Lebanon than to Iranian territory. Israel has announced that it intends to occupy a strip of southern Lebanon up to the Litani River as a security zone, an area that corresponds to almost 1/10 of Lebanese territory. The Associated Press reported that it has already started calling this operation an invasion, because thousands of Israeli soldiers have crossed the border, and the fighting on the ground has already lasted for at least 3 weeks. Where does Iran come into this equation? It comes in as the other major front of the war. This Friday, Israel once again targeted facilities linked to the Iranian nuclear program. The Associated Press reported that a heavy water complex in Iraq and a uranium concentrate production unit known as Yellow Cake in Yazd were attacked. A few hours after Israel warned that it would escalate and expand the campaign against Tehran. In other words, the confrontation with Iran remains intense and is escalating, but in the form of bombings, missiles, and attacks on strategic infrastructure, not as an official announcement of a ground invasion. In Paris, Marco Rubio stated that the military objectives against Iran can be achieved without ground troops, and that the operation should last weeks, not months. So why then authorize up to 400,000 reservists? Is it because Israel wants to have enough military manpower to sustain a long war in various scenarios? At the same time, attacks against Iran, fighting with Hezbollah, occupation in southern Lebanon, defense of its own territory, and new regional threats. This mobilization cap serves as war insurance. It gives the military command the freedom to quickly increase the number of troops if the conflict gets even more out of control. The weight of this decision goes far beyond Israel's borders. According to Reuters, the war has already pushed Brent crude oil close to $112, with an increase of more than 50% since the beginning of the conflict. And the disruption in the Strait of Hormuz continues to shake energy, transportation, and markets around the world. That's why this mobilization is so frightening. It's not just military, it's a warning that the crisis is still far from a lasting solution. What exists, clearly and proven, is a major military escalation, an authorization for up to 400,000 reservists, an invasion already recognized by parts of the international press in southern Lebanon, and an increasingly aggressive air campaign against Iranian targets. If diplomacy fails and the conflict escalates further, this number could become the basis for a new escalation. But based on the facts known so far, Israel is preparing for all scenarios.